Have you ever imagined walking through a misty New Zealand forest and suddenly hearing nothing? No birdsong, no flapping wings, just a heavy silence and the faint echo of footsteps from something long gone. Now, picture this, a creature taller than a man, heavier than a refrigerator, with feathers like a thatched roof and legs built like tree trunks. Towering over the ferns and shrubs, the South Island Giant Moa, Dinornis robustus, once ruled this land. Beside it, the modern kiwi bird, tiny and shy, looks like a forgotten shadow of a lost dynasty. In this video, we're going on a journey to uncover the story of a bird that couldn't fly, but still conquered forests. A bird so massive it rivaled dinosaurs in size. And yet, it vanished. Silently. Forever. What happened to the moa? How did such a magnificent giant disappear from the face of the earth? Stay with me. The answers may surprise you. Whispers from the ancients. Long before European explorers set foot on Aotearoa, the land we now call New Zealand, the indigenous Māori already told stories of giant birds that roamed the forests. They called them Manu Nui, the great birds. To some iwi tribes, the moa wasn't just an animal. It was a guardian, a presence tied deeply to the whenua, land, and Wakapapa ancestry. But even in their oral traditions, these birds were remembered as creatures of the past, already gone by the time the stories were passed down. The scientific story of the Dinornis robustus begins much later, in the early 1800s, when European settlers stumbled upon enormous bones buried beneath peat swamps and forest floors. At first, many believed they were the remains of emus or ostriches accidentally brought over. But as more skeletal remains surfaced, massive femurs, towering vertebrae, impossibly large eggs, the truth became undeniable. New Zealand had once been home to a flightless bird over 3.5 meters tall, weighing up to 250 kilograms. It was British anatomist Richard Owen who, in 1843, officially named and described the moa, marking the start of global fascination. Fossils were found across the South Island, especially in Otago and Canterbury. These bones painted a vivid picture of an animal that evolved in isolation, free from mammalian predators, with size as its greatest weapon. But perhaps the most haunting discoveries were the preserved footprints, still etched into ancient mudflats, and even mummified remains with feathers and soft tissue. It was as if the earth had kept a few relics intact, as reminders. And yet, the question still loomed. When did they vanish? And more importantly, why? The silent sovereign of the forest. Imagine a time before roads, before fences, before chainsaws. A time when the forests of New Zealand were dense with towering podocarp trees, lush ferns, and mist that wrapped around everything like breath from the earth itself. In this ancient green world walked a creature like no other, the Dinornis robustus. With a body nearly 12 feet tall and legs thick as pillars, it moved not with speed, but with deliberate weight. Each step left a soft print in the moss. Each movement rippled across the undergrowth. It couldn't fly, but it didn't need to. It ruled by presence. Its feathers were shaggy and hair-like, blending brown and gray to match the forest shadows. Its long neck craned gently through tree canopies, plucking leaves, shoots, and fruits from heights no other animal could reach. Some moa may have even had facial bristles, helping them feel their way in the dark underbrush. And yet, it was silent. Unlike modern birds, the moa had no voice. No song, no cry, just the sound of foliage moving and then settling again. Maori legends sometimes spoke of birds that never made a sound, yet watched humans from between trees. The moa, perhaps, was one such being, a guardian, not a ghost. The forest it lived in was a paradise of giants, not just moa, but also the Haast's eagle, a terrifying predator with a wingspan of up to 3 meters. This bird of prey evolved only to hunt moa, swooping from trees to strike the neck with powerful talons. It was a natural arms race, the eagle built to kill, the moa built to endure. But for all its size, the moa had no defense against a greater predator, one it had never seen coming. It happened fast, shockingly fast, in the great timeline of life. Roughly 700 years ago, the first Polynesian voyagers arrived on the shores of Aotearoa. These were the ancestors of today's Maori, skilled navigators, fearless settlers, carriers of culture, language, and hunger. For them, this new land was a treasure trove. Forests teemed with birds that had never known fear. None more tempting than the moa, a walking banquet, fat with meat, eggs the size of rugby balls, and feathers perfect for cloaks. There was no need for stealth. Moa had no predators before humans. They didn't run. They didn't hide. Entire families could be hunted with simple spears and fire. Some historians believe that in just 2 or 3 centuries, moa populations were wiped out by overhunting and habitat burning. And with the moa gone, so too vanished the Haast's eagle, unable to survive without its only prey. A predator and its giant victim, both undone by a species barely 2 meters tall. But it wasn't malice. It was survival. The Maori didn't yet understand they were facing a closed ecosystem, one evolved without mammals, without balance for loss. In burning forests for farmland, they unleashed a domino effect: extinction, erosion, silence. Later generations would mourn what was lost. Today, some iwi consider the moa not just a vanished creature, but a kaitiaki, a spiritual guardian whose fall reminds us of our place in the chain of life. So, was it only humans? Or did the earth itself shift beneath the moa's feet? Let's keep going. The answer is close. Echoes beneath the ferns. Today, the moa lives on, not in flesh, but in bone, story, and warning. In museums from Wellington to Dunedin, you can stand beside their towering skeletons. Giant femurs as thick as your waist, rib cages wider than your arms can stretch. You look up, and it looks down, silently, through time. Each fossil is not just a relic. It's a mirror, showing us what happens when we push too hard, too fast. For the Maori, the moa's memory is woven into Wakapapa, the chain of ancestry. Cloaks lined with ancient feathers still rest in Mary. Carvings of birds with long necks and strong legs adorn ancestral meeting houses. The moa is gone, but it is not forgotten. In science, the moa teaches us about island evolution, how a bird, isolated from mammalian predators, could grow into a giant, how nature, when left alone, writes her own wild stories, and how quickly it can all unravel. There are even whispers of de-extinction, cloning, CRISPR, genetic revival. But should we? If we bring the moa back, will we also bring back its forest, its predators, its peace? More than just a scientific curiosity, the moa is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even giants fall, that silence is not always natural, that once a voice is gone, we cannot always find it again. So what will we do with this memory? When the forest forgets, who will remember? And so, the giant is gone. No more thunderous footsteps beneath the ferns. No more towering shadows in the morning mist. Just bones. Just stories. Just silence. Dinornis robustus, the South Island Giant Moa, was once a sovereign of the forest, a peaceful giant with no voice, no wings, and no warning. Its downfall came not from weakness, but from innocence. A life unprepared for the arrival of a clever, hungry species called us. But its story doesn't have to end here. Every time we protect a fragile habitat, we honor the moa. Every time we teach a child about extinction, we pass on a sacred memory. Every time we look at a forest and choose preservation over profit, we keep its spirit alive. So now, I ask you, what would you have done if you stood in the forest 700 years ago? Would you have picked up the spear or put it down? Tell me in the comments. If this journey moved you, if you felt the weight of the moa's steps in your chest, please like, subscribe. Next time, we'll meet another vanished titan, a beast lost to time, a life worth remembering. Until then, don't let the forest forget.